What I love about Lady Clipper is the intentionality behind the safe space and community that is captured here. It's more than a barbershop, it's more than a salon, it's something completely different altogether. I'm going to spend some time talking to Lesley Bryant, who opened up the shop almost a decade ago, about what it took for her to get here, how she is continuing to brand herself in a way that not only is authentic to who she is, but also in a way that connects with her clients. Let's go. How are you?
Good, good.
How you feeling?
Feeling great this morning. Got some good rest last night.
Good, good. You look great, as always.
You too.
Most stylish barber ever.
Thank you. That's a great compliment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, barbers have swag anyway. But I feel like yours is just, it's so perfect and personal to you. Like, you even got the L on the bolo, down to the shoes. Like, every time I see you, you are just on point. So I always gotta just give you your props on that. Because I'm like, you could just come to work, or you could come to work and look the way you do. So I'm like, we have to give her credit for that, for putting the energy in. That's not even for the cameras. You do that on the daily.
Thank you.
So we were talking about a little bit of marketing and branding today. And I was really interested in having a conversation with you because I love the way that your brand shows up across the board in everything you do. From the way that you talk to your customers, to your merch, to your website, your social media. But the first introduction that people have to your brand is in the name of your business. So tell me about Lady Clipper. Where did the inspiration for the name come from?
So my mom actually came up with the name. When I transitioned into barbering, I knew right away that I needed to come up with a catchy name, something that would stand out, something that that just would set me apart from other people in the industry. I know being a woman is something that is rare in this industry, but I wanted to have something even more iconic, something that would stop people in their tracks and never forget. Yeah. Like, oh wow, this is a lady barber. So I kept saying, Mom, I need something. Help me with this name. And we sat down and had a brainstorming session, and it was so tough that she was like, okay, let me take a nap, and when I wake up, I'll have it.
We'll come back to
Leave
this.
me alone, because I was really pounding her brain. And she woke up and she says, what about Lady Clipper? I was like, Mom, that's it. So I ran and went online to see if like the website was taken.
Yeah.
I ran to see like, oh, maybe I can use this name and run with it. And when I saw that it wasn't taken, I was like, that's it. That's the name.
I love that. And I love that you actually took the time to also do the research to make sure that like what you wanted to call your business was available. I think sometimes we get really excited and we get locked into an idea or a name, but then it's taken already. So the fact that you did your due diligence is really important. So you talked about the fact that you wanted to stand out. You knew that you wanted your business to speak for itself and say something beyond what other folks were in the industry. Tell me about what problem you were solving for by even starting Lady Clipper in the first place.
Well, I would say the main problem that I was targeting is creating a space that was welcoming to all people. Meaning, doesn't matter your gender, your class, religion. I wanted a safe place for people to come and receive services. Now, there's something called barbershop anxiety, right? And that's something that I never really struggled with. I've had short hair for quite a long time, but I'd always recognized, even before being a barber and sitting in other barbershops, that people will come in very nervous, some people timid, not knowing what to do in this space when they first enter. Sometimes the barbers working there would not address the guests when they came in, and I'm like, this is a lost opportunity to connect, to make this person stay. Especially if you're a shop that takes walk-ins, you need to be able to grab that person and grab their attention. And how do you do that? Is just creating a warm hello sometimes. So that was the first thing. Is like, how do we welcome people into the space? How do we make them feel comfortable right away? Second thing that I was solving is it's also a space thing, paying attention to the music that's being played, make sure there's nothing offensive, making sure that the videos that are on the TV or the what's playing isn't offensive. You know, I don't even play the news in here because I know people have different political
Yeah.
views and likes and the world. I don't want them to bring the outside in here. I want
Yeah.
them to come here and feel a sense of peace and
Because that's
relaxation.
part of the experience, right? Like when you come to get your hair done or get your hair cut, regardless of how long or short you're here, it is that moment of just kind of like being able to unwind.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, people will come in and they may talk to you about their day or what's going on at work. And so then you kind of become like a friend to them. So to create a space where they feel that is really, really important. Yeah. You talked about wanting to have an inclusive space, and that was one of the things you were solving for. I want to kind of go deeper into that because I know I've been into barbershops too. Back in the day when I was getting braids and things done, sometimes the barbershop would also double. They'd have like one or two gals in the shop that would be doing hair. And I would go in there and the exact things that you're talking about are the things that I experienced, right? Like sometimes they would have like maybe old school movies on when they were, doing hair and things like that. But the music or the conversation or just kind of how like the environment would shift if I, as like a female, kind of went into a more like male dominant space. I definitely felt that energy. And I like that here, every time I've come here, you always have a really great balance of men and women, families. That's one of the things that I always see really come up in your marketing, which I think is a bit unintentional too, like on your social media pages. Instead of you being front and center, it's your clients. Mm-hmm. And you really do show not just a range of haircuts and styles that you all do here, but also just like the different types of people. I know you recently remodeled the shop like within the last couple of years, and you expanded to also have the space in the basement. But you also were very intentional about adding in like a private space where people could come if they weren't comfortable having their hair cut out here, you could take them there. Can you kind of talk about what you really were intentional about with the redesign of what you felt like the space really needed in order to really drive home that feeling of connection and safety?
That was my opportunity. The expansion about 3 or 4 years ago was my opportunity to consider more people, right? Mm-hmm. To make the space even more welcoming. Mm-hmm. The reason I knew I needed a private space is when I was in the small space upstairs in this building, we had quite a few women wearing hijabs that would come or would call me and say, I have a hijab, I can't be in a space receiving services with men around. So is there a time where there's not men here, or is there a time that that you could set aside for me to be able to take off my headdress and receive my services? So that triggered something in me. I was like, wow, I did not consider this population of people, right? And I kind of was embarrassed that I wasn't prepared for that. So when that lady first approached me, I right away, I said, okay, I'll come in an hour early. And if you don't mind coming in early, I will take care of you. Right away, I went on Amazon and I was like, I have to order some screens to find a way to make it as private in a space that was not accommodating. Mm-hmm. When we were able to expand, that was the first thing on my bullet. It was like, we need, even if it's a small closet space, I don't care what it is, I have to have a space for people who either have the barbershop anxiety or doing something, religious reasons need that private space, or people who may be going through chemo and they don't want to be on the floor with people looking at them when they get their head shaves. So I needed to carve out a space for them. And I think that consideration has also set me apart from other barbershops, trying to consider all the details and what the needs of my clients are. It's not about me. It's about what I can do for you. We're in the hospitality business. We're not just cutting hair.
I love that. I love that you said it was an opportunity for you to be inclusive of more people. Sometimes when we have challenges as business owners, they can feel really heavy, but I love that you looked at it as like an opportunity to just connect more, to double down on your branding and what you stand for. And I want to pull on the thread too about connection and the way that that's also a through line in the way that you operate Lady Clipper. So for a lot of barbershops, it's like booth rentals. Whereas here, your barbers are really like employees. They are truly part of the brand. Talk to me about the decision to do that, because I know it was an intentional one, but it also just could be that it made sense for you financially. It could be that it just made sense for what you envisioned. I think though it really helps with connectivity and the feeling, that atmosphere of people coming in and having options too, because they can go to anybody, which is also rare. Typically, when you're going to a stylist or a shop, you go to that one person and you stay with that one person. It's a little bit taboo for you to then kind of bounce around from barber to barber. But here, you allow folks to do that. So walk me through your decision to operate in that way.
So I decided to operate one in a commission shop for many reasons. I wanted to make sure that as the brand grew, that my barbers can grow. So if I raise the prices on the services, everybody gets a raise, right? So also it's a way of making sure that everybody eats, everybody has a chance, right? Booth rentals, sometimes the barbers become more competitive with each other. They try to outdo each other. And then that translates a bad taste in the mouth sometimes to the client.
Yeah.
Because the client now feels like, oh, I don't want to offend my regular barber, but I really need my haircut today. I have a flight to catch, or I have an interview to do. I need it today.
Yeah.
You lose business if that person can't go to the chair next to you.
So
Or,
true.
you know, why not keep the money in the shop rather than, oh, I only go to this person. And if this person's not here, for fear of offending the person next door, sitting next to them, I'm going to go to a neighborhood shop.
Yeah, somewhere different.
You never want that. You want to keep people here. So that we can all eat. And that's part of the whole concept, is to hop around, try, if it's your first time, try everybody and see who you like best.
See what fits.
See what fits you. There's a place for everybody. And every barber, as you know, like every barbershop, has a different personality.
Yeah.
So you may like this person's cut, but you like this person's personality. Find what you like, and everybody has a different style and delivery.
So Lady Clipper at this point is a lot more than just a business. It really is a community hub. I mean, you host events here. There's so many things that you have going around the clock in terms of programming. You've really made sure it's more than just a space where people come once a month or twice a month to get their haircut. When did you know that your business had really become a brand, something that like the community was really falling in love with, and not just a place for your customers to come and get haircuts?
I remember this one lady. I don't even remember her name. I think she came in from out of town, maybe on a conference or something. And she walked through the door and she just stood there like with a shocked face, like a really shocked face. And I was like, ma'am, may I help you? Do you have an appointment today? She's like, yes, I do. She's like, I just need a minute. And I was like, a minute for what? I was like, okay. She's like, I can't believe this is real.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I've never experienced, she's like, I've had short hair forever. And I'm looking for a place that kind of, it's not quite a salon. I want the salon feel, but I want the barbershop cut. And she's like, I didn't know this could exist. I didn't know this could be such a masculine thing as a barbershop could be flipped. And there's an alternative to that hyper masculine feel. So she was just blown away. And I was like, oh, wow, like people are getting it. This is resonating.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I really realized that the brand was now bigger than me.
Confirmation that everything that you set out to do, you were actually doing. That had to feel incredible.
And you know it when the client says it without me having to sell it. If the client comes in the door and says, I feel this way, I feel that way, oh, this is why I come. They tell me that.
Yeah.
I don't have to say, well, why did you come here? Oh, I just love it here. This, that, and the other. Sometimes they don't even look at the mirror. They're so captivated with the space. They're so captivated with the energy, the smell. They expect a barbershop to smell like, I don't know, a gym.
Anything but the
I mean?
fragrances that you have going here. It is absolutely great when you walk in here. And also, one of the things we were talking about too, which is obviously great for shooting, but just the natural light in here and the lighting. It also, you walk in and it's like, it brightens your mood. It lifts you. You know what I mean? I'm sure it was intentional for you to keep the walls white. So that way there kind of is that really nice, kind of like stripped down feeling. And then you get to put accents of yourself and your barbers, and also with the local art on the wall, that kind of becomes the statement. Yeah. So I love that your customers are telling you that. You mentioned she came out of town, which leads me to exposure, which is a big thing that we as business owners are always kind of battling, is how do we get more people through the door? How do we get more people to know about our businesses? what are you finding are some ways that have really worked for you over the years, outside of, I guess, certain things that may trend really well for barbershops or salons? What's kind of been like a constant that you feel like you can always rely on when it comes to getting people here?
Getting people in the door is that word of mouth, right? Is initially, if you get somebody to walk through the door and you connect, they love the haircut, they feel comfortable, they're going to tell somebody, whether it's in the grocery store when they leave here, whether, oh, I just got my haircut from this place and I feel so good. It was so clean. It felt so whatever. Yeah. Word of mouth is the first and most important way to market yourself, right?
100% agree.
You know, do not put yourself into this haircut. Listen, you know, so really deliver what you're asked to the best of your ability. Ask a lot of questions. That's the first part. Second part, when I first started, I worked for another barbershop. I would go out to the playground and look for parents with children. And I would hand my card out and say, hey, bring your son, you know, or if you need a trim or something like that, I would love to take care of you. I'm at the barbershop right down the street, a couple doors down. Come see me. You know, you're really campaigning for yourself when you're a barber, especially if you're a solo barber doing it by yourself. You have to go out in the street and connect with people. That's first. Before the social media, before the YouTube, the TikTok and all that, you have to make people remember you. And it's best to do it face to face.
Making me all warm and getting inside, Lesley. You gotta stop this now.
You have to do it first. And how you do it, it's up to you. But just posting and tagging and, you know, doing, that is important as well. But for me, that personal connection, initially approaching somebody, being warm and welcome them into a space that they may have never entered before, that's the most important.
I love that you mentioned that, because I do feel like because the internet has just become such a huge force when it comes to marketing businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs are really focusing on that to the point where we are really losing that in-person touch, that real life element. And I love that you went to the playground. You went to where you felt like your customers would be. Yes. You didn't just wait for them to come to you, which is also really great. And you just doubled down on that with your social media presence. And I always like to tell people, if you're confused about what your social media is supposed to be doing, it's really just like another billboard for your business. So once that mom got your business card, she's then going to look you up and want to learn more about you. And so your website and then your social media presence is a great way for her to then be able to confirm that you are the right person for her to go to, or for her to take your son to. So love that. No notes. Let's talk about your campaigns.
Okay.
So what I always loved about the way that you roll out new services or even new products, right? Because I know you have like a signature oil that you use on clients. And you also are really great too about working with other business owners that have products that work really well for your customers, and you showcase them here. You do it in a really beautifully packaged, curated way with these campaigns. We've worked on a couple of them together, but you really do it up. I mean, you have videos, you have photos, they play on the screens here. You send out a newsletter. You make it more than just like, here's an oil, are you interested? You make it a spectacle in a way. Where did that come from, that idea to do that, or the desire to do that, instead of just relying on, well, people are going to come anyway, so when they get here, I'll just use it on their hair, or I'll tell them about it and that will be enough?
I think really taking the time to package, like you said, brand the service or brand the product, you know, is very important, right? Giving it a good name, making sure it smells good, it actually does what it says. That's important. But most importantly, if you're trying to attract a certain audience and a certain population, you have to get in front of them in a way that is that they can relate to. So just doing a quick phone video, and that may work on a short term, but you want to really, I wanted to make an advertisement, right? I wanted to, you know, I know that I have a graphic design background. So design has always been a huge part of my life, from my clothes to my hair to how I move in the world. So as I produce a product, I'm thinking about, how does this product look? How does this product smell? How does this product feel? Is it a representation of me? and the things that people compliment me on. So I'm always thinking about that. And the importance of that is if someone walks in and says, oh, you smell so good. Your hair is so shiny. Yeah. This is my oil. It just becomes a very soft sell over me saying, well, you need this for your hair. And I take you to a shelf and show you something. Yeah. I hate being sold like that. I want to come to you and mention it. Or I'll say, hey, would you like to try this on your beard? They put it on. I got in my Uber and the Uber driver asked me what cologne I had on and it was your oil. I have to get it too for next time. I can't run out of this. Yeah. So these are things that you have to pay attention to. I don't like anything raggedy. So it's very important to present it to somebody. Yeah. Someone needs to feel like it's special. Because you as a product, you're going against so many other brands that may have bigger budgets. Yeah. That may have more popularity. But if you're coming out with something new, you have to get attention. You have to look professional. Yeah. And especially if you want other professionals to connect with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Really going the interpersonal route, making something that is for the person and making sure that they feel that way. What I want to touch on that you mentioned, which I love, is you're also doing like permission marketing, which is you said you asked somebody first, hey, do you want to try this oil? Do you mind if I use this on you? You didn't just necessarily put it on them. You literally are every step of the way giving them permission to tell you no, which I think is also a really important part of having a brand that provides safety. So you may not have known you were doing that.
I did it. I didn't
good
think
job
of it
on that, girl.
But that's great. Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of community, I've mentioned events before and the fact that you do a lot of programming. Why are you so intentional about wanting to invite the community in? Especially because, I mean, your space is beautiful. You've really done a great job of utilizing every nook and cranny here. But it's not also like it's huge. It's not a huge event space. It's not even an event space, period, right? So to want to take your shop and make it more than just a barbershop with a salon feel, why also be like, you know what, I'll do events from sip and paints to mixers to spoken word nights. I really love that you have that component as a part of your brand, but why did you do that in the first place?
It all goes back to kind of my selfishness, to be honest. I spend so much time here and I put a lot of my life in this business. Yeah. And so sometimes my social battery is low, right? Yeah. But I still know I need to connect with people. I still know I want to sometimes do fun things with my friends. And initially I started those community events so I could invite my friends.
I love it.
To come and hang. I can see 5 friends at the same time. Yeah. Who, and spend time with them. But the other part that came out of it is that I have very talented people sitting in my chair. I have very talented people in my family. I have very talented people who need exposure. And how could my brand support, highlight, and expose somebody else's talent, brand, or idea? If we are not supporting each other, right? Why put money into my business? Why me? So if I can show, hey, you play the violin or you play the piano. Would you like to do a mini concert this summer?
I love that.
And I can find somebody who sings or something like that. Or we're having a Christmas party. We would like you to bring your small band, your trio, and play a little song for us. You're a painter. We're going to do live painting of something while our event is going on. These little things, I always use my clients. Or a friend I pour back into them, give them exposure, and in return, my clients are like, ooh, I love poetry. Yeah. I love to paint. I want to hear this person play. So I am putting back into someone else's brand, and they are, in return, making me look great as well.
And giving you more exposure.
So we're exposing each other.
Yeah, it's definitely... it provides dual purpose, because then that's another great way for you to be able to market your business without, again, having to do that hard sell.
Right.
Because they're more than likely going to introduce the event to someone who may not know about Lady Clipper. And so now you're doubling your exposure, because they're bringing people here who may not even necessarily be the ones to get their hair cut, but they probably know someone who would love this space and would love to be in this type of environment.
Or they're bringing a friend. So a lot of time clients that come to my events, they'll bring a friend that may have never been here before, or their partner, or their kid to a comedy show or something like that. And in that, you bring your boyfriend or your girlfriend, they sit in their chair and they realize how fun this place is, how clean it is, whatever it is that they connect with. They may book an appointment during the week. You know, I came to so-and-so and I thought this was a wonderful place, so I decided to break an appointment. Always staying in front of your clientele, always paying attention to their interests, but also it's okay to introduce your own interests, because we tend to attract our kind, you know, in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes you're attracted to something or someone and you don't quite know why.
Yeah.
So,
I also want to draw attention to the artwork on the walls too, because you allow or give space to local artists to also be able to showcase their artwork here. But what I love is that, like, you have an opportunity for your customers to actually purchase that art. It's not just like it's there to be pretty or to just kind of like add another visual element to the shop. It really is something that customers can leave with, which is almost like, in a way, another form of merch for you as well, because they're going to take that artwork home, and every time they look at it, they're going to think about the artist, obviously, but then they're going to think about you and the fact that you introduced them to this beautiful piece. And so, like, now a part of your brand is also living with each of your customers that are taking these pieces home. Where did you get the idea to work with local artists? Did you have like a customer who was an artist, or you just love art and you're like, you know what, my walls are bare. Why not find a local art student at Howard, or someone who's doing this for a living, and give them an opportunity?
all of those things. So I'm an artist. So I knew that in my space, I wanted lots of beautiful things, lots of art. And it was my way of solving a problem. The first problem was, how do I decorate white walls without it costing me anything?
That's smart.
That's the first thing. And I'm able to rotate it every other month or so. So it never gets stale.
Yeah.
That's the selfish part. The part where I'm sharing is an artist. A lot of my clients as well. You don't have to be a client, or local artists. They maybe do art as a hobby, or they don't think that it's good enough to go in a gallery. They don't think, or they don't have enough pieces to have a gallery opening or something like that. Here you need 12 pieces maximum. Or you need 6 for the top floor, 6 for the bottom floor. Meaning, if you can't do the bottom floor, I'll find another artist to do the other.
Okay.
Right? You have 6 pieces, they're framed or they're on canvas. I'm going to figure out a way to get you some exposure. And how great is it that you hang it up, you set the price as an artist. You know, I make a very small pinch only if I sell it. If I don't sell it, I make nothing, you lose nothing.
But they get exposure.
But you get exposure. And we then, on Instagram, in our newsletter, on Facebook, we post a short bio with the artist picture, letting people know this artist is the artist of the month. You can pick and buy the art right off of our walls.
Yeah.
And this is another way of supporting my clientele, but also supporting the community and bringing them back into my space. I also have clients that walk in. They may not need a haircut, but they're like, I want to see what's up this month. I want to see who's up and, get inspiration, or maybe I'll buy something. So we ended up being a gallery.
Yeah.
Out of me just needing some really cool art on the walls. That's, just ways of being smart about making this place even better.
Which is what we have to do as business owners, for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to cut costs somewhere, and it can sometimes turn to really beautiful opportunities, which this is how you know this is also very much ingrained in who you are, because a lot of times we say things like we want authenticity, we want people to feel safe, and we do all these things, but then we try to force it. You double down on safety, but with artists, giving them a space where they can safely showcase their art, even if it's for the first time, or you were like, you know what, you don't need a full collection. Even if you have a couple pieces, we can work with that, right? If you don't sell anything, no harm, no foul. You don't lose anything. So not only are you creating that safety for your customers, you're also doing it for people that you're inviting in the space who are adding that artistic element, whether it's in their cello playing or their singing or in their artwork. So kudos to you, girl.
Thank you.
Just doing it. So you've built a strong personal brand alongside Lady Clipper. So was that intentional for you, or is it for you like part of your brand strategy? What really is the desire behind you having a brand as Lesley Bryant and also being able to have your business as its own brand as Lady Clipper as well? Kind of talk about like, I guess those two brands and how they work in tandem, but also some ways where like they may differ.
So Lesley Bryant as a brand versus Lady Clipper as a brand, a lot of times they
Overlap.
they overlap. And being in business for 8.5 years now, I've really started to try to separate myself a little bit. Although my face is on the logo and the Lady Clipper is the name that my mom originally gave to me for the business, I'm now at a point where my barbers are able to, run the shop without me having to every day, hover, hey, make sure you do your consultation like this. Make sure that you clean your space like this. They're on autopilot now. So Lady Clipper is still me. However, as a way for me to grow and also expand my services and also explore some of my other dreams and hopes.
Yeah.
I'm able to also be Lesley Bryant, who I was born as, and spread that love, and I want to be able to travel with somebody that may need my services. I want to see the world. I want to take my talent anywhere that it's needed or wanted, and not always be tied behind the chair. That's something that's the next level for me. That's so really being able to take my clients with me, as many as I can, close my books from Lady Clipper, but take as many as I can, and also make myself more available to do pop-ups and maybe school visits, also travel. I want to be able to do that in different places and bless people with my talent outside of the shop.
Yeah.
So
one of the through lines in talking to entrepreneurs as part of this conversation series is this systems and operations, like processes being put in place, has come up a couple times of just in order for you to be able to really allow your business to flourish the way that we want it to, you really are going to have to put some things in place to be able to also step away from it. So you mentioned that like the shop is at the point now where you can trust your barbers to be handling some things for you that you would typically be doing yourself. Our businesses are our babies, though. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs that have a hard time letting go of certain aspects of their business and trusting someone else to do it. But you're at a point now where you're seeing the benefits of that. What would you say to an entrepreneur that's really having a hard time with letting go or getting to the point where they can put those processes and systems in place, especially when it requires more money to do? You've seen the benefits of it. So what has that journey been like for you to get to that point?
it is very rough.
I appreciate that honesty.
It is rough, and it's a daily self-talk. Okay, so really, first you have to really hire the right people. And when you think you've hired somebody and you've trained them and you see that they're executing, leave them alone. You know,
Don't be hovering.
don't hover, but sometimes you still have to have meetings and to remind them of the core values.
Yeah.
You know, because we all forget, or we get a little lax over time. But put the standard in place. This is how I expect the consultation to go. This is how I expect you to groom yourself for your job. This is how I expect you to speak to clients, even the difficult ones. These are some strategies around some of that behavior. And when you see it in action, you have to then move on to something else. Because what it will do is you will stunt your employees' growth, and you're also stunting your own.
Oof.
So daily, I remind myself every day, I'm like this, like, chill.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is not exactly the way you would want it, but it's not a bad, interpretation of what you've said.
Yeah.
You know, so really being able to control yourself first, and being able to pull back and say, okay, when I'm on vacation, the shop is way more booked than when I'm here. Like everybody else is busier.
Being able to realize that.
Right. And when I'm here, it seems like because my face is on the building, everybody relates it to me. They know I'm the owner, that they automatically assume that I'm the best.
And they want to go to you.
They want to go to me. I can't, or they'll wait for me. They'll wait months to sit in my chair. Not that I don't want them to do that, but I have six other barbers, natural hairstylists, people who have skills that are different, a colorist than mine. And they're limiting themselves just to me. So how do I build my brand, build my barbers, making sure that I'm not subtracting from their growth?
Learning in many ways to almost like move out of the way when it's necessary.
And knowing when to do that,
yes,
it's very hard. But me going on a long vacation and looking at the books, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
These people are pumping. That means my clients are trusting my barbers too, even when I'm not here.
And that says a lot about your brand.
That's amazing.
That you can step away from it and things are not completely crashing and burning. That you can feel like, okay, everything's in good hands. I know I've done what I need to do in order to set them up for success. I have these things in place. I should be able to take a vacation. Because really that time freedom is what most of us as entrepreneurs really got into the business for, to be able to do things the way we want to do it, to solve a problem that we see exists in the world and feel like we're the best people that are equipped to do that. But then to also be able to go and self-actualize and do those other things that we as people really want to do, which leads me to success. Success in entrepreneurship can feel really fleeting, right? Like you have these incredible highs where you're like, this is the best day ever. Then you're hit with like some really incredible lows. And so figuring out how to kind of live in the middle can be difficult. Do you feel like you've actually gotten to the point in your career that you envisioned when you talked with your mom and had that conversation about naming the shop Lady Clipper? Or do you feel like there's still so many more things that you want to do and this is just kind of like one stop on the way to doing those things?
That is loaded. You took that question all over the place.
Take your time. Break it down. Break it down.
I feel like Lady Clipper has done what it's supposed to do. So I feel very successful and I feel very accomplished with where we are right now. And the example in the industry that we have put in place and that we lead with that. Okay, so I feel like Lady Clipper has exceeded my wildest dreams.
I love that.
Now, my next chapter is, okay, what does Lesley want to do? How hard does Lesley want to work? You know, I always going to keep my eye on Lady Clipper, but now it's time I've earned my leisure, right? So in earning that leisure, like, what does that look like? I still want to cut. I love cutting. I love connecting. Okay, how can this beautiful place, this beautiful brand, now fund my happiness? What the future looks like, right? Yeah. So I feel like I've done what I need to do, right? Here,
you did it.
It's done, right?
Yeah.
Now people are like, you should expand, you should franchise. You know, maybe, but I am satisfied with what I have here, and I always, and if it's one piece of advice I can give to new business owners, start small, focus small, and grow and really see how the world is kind of moving you. If you're not staying in touch with what's going on in the world, and you're not staying in touch with what your capability is, you're just like, I want to open this, I want to do this, right? That might be your ego. That might not be healthy or good for you. I feel accomplished. So if Lady Clipper closed tomorrow, I feel okay, because I've done something no one else has ever been able to do, and I maintained it for 8-9 years. So I feel good.
You're like, I'm straight.
Right.
But you know what I love that you said is that you are confident and comfortable with what you've established, that you have other people that may be telling you think of other things, go bigger, do this, do that, but you're not letting what looks like success to someone else define that for you.
Exactly.
And sometimes we can get really squirrely as business owners. We can see what other people are doing, especially because of social media. And you really do have to kind of take that time every day to wake up and make sure you're making decisions for you, and not because you see someone else that seems to be living a bigger or bolder life, but that's not even the dream you have for yourself. So I love that you organically mentioned that, because that's a big part of why I wanted to do this series, is because I feel like we're being fed so many ideas of what success looks like, that we have to make $60 million a year and be over 100 people and, have our businesses be in sky rises. And that's really not the case. I think the happiest entrepreneurs are the ones that are doing things exactly the way they want to, whether that is making enough to be able to take your family on vacation once a year, but being able to connect with the community, or being able to have that multi-million-dollar business and you can franchise, but deciding that for you is so important. Last question for you.
Okay.
What does it mean to be branded? Because you do it so well.
Thank you. To be branded is to be noticed, to be bold, to be intentional with your purpose. To be branded it's sort of building your legacy, your stamp in the world, and being able to sleep at night and say, this is who I am, this is what I've brought to the world, and this is what I'm going to leave to the world. Branding is everything. Period.
Period.